So, the Death Warp route, the world record route. Ryan, fast. Let's go. That down tapping that I mentioned for juking, I use it right away because the frat guys are not friendly. Like, literally, again, I've seen from talking to other folks, like some folks, if you're using like a ROM or something and it just, or whatever you use and you happen to get generic dudes on the first screen, I'm pretty sure most of the time you can just run straight. Like, you could just go straight and they most of the time won't even hit you. But frat guys will try to ruin your day, so you're going to slowly juke toward the bottom of the screen. Thanks, Crater. Mash, the only real difference between the two is the hitboxes are slightly different. I find that the Stonehands hitbox seems to be a little bit out in front of you, whereas the Dragon Feet, because these chibi sprites have stubby legs, like the Kunio sprites have all like super chubby legs, that it just feels like the kicks are kind of like in your own hurt box. So like I find that for me, it's more that it's just easier for me to be able to line up punches with Stonehands. They do the same amount of damage, so there's no like damage advantage. So if you are a Dragon Feet fan, by all means, it works the same. It works just as well. You're probably talking a handful of frames buying Stonehands because you don't have to menu down one to buy Dragon Feet. And then for me personally, making the big jump in the Third Wheel Factory is a little bit easier if you can jump kick, because it extends Ryan's sprite out a bit wider than it's supposed to be. I believe it makes the jump a tiny bit easier. Whereas if you have Dragon Feet, you don't do a jump kick. You just do your Dragon Feet kicks even when you're jumping. So it doesn't really give you the same sprite advantage, I guess I would call it. Okay, Will, so yeah, you've never been hit just dashing against generic dudes. Well, when it's frat guys, if you just dash, ow. So, yes, yeah, the punches and kicks have the same power. Yeah, there's no stat difference between Stonehands and Dragon Feet at all. So I'll save a state here. So I'm just like tapping down pretty much, and then as soon as I see the second gang member, like as soon as you see him on screen, you can just hold down at that point. For this screen, I find that it's more of a down and then up, because again, juking down is always better. So you want to go down and then up toward the door. So down and then up toward the door. And getting in the door without running into the pole or running into the wall afterwards is it just takes a little bit of getting used to. Might be useful for lamb leg though. Which part might be useful for lamb leg? I'm sorry. So then for this one, most of the patterns that you see here, you can just tap down. You shouldn't have to juke up at all. Oh, that's a good point, Clay. And Will. Sorry. You're both making the same point, but Clay mentioned the +2 punch. Yeah, no. Lamb leg doesn't give you a boost to kick. You guys are on the money. So if you're doing safer strats, then yeah, there is a strategic advantage to Stonehands over Dragon Feet, so thank you for pointing that out. That's excellent. If you get the lamb leg safety item that gives you willpower so that the first time you run out of health you don't die, it also makes your punch stronger. All the bosses down the stretch seem to take one round less of punches. So yeah, Stonehands is strategically beneficial if you are buying the lamb leg as a backup. This is good stuff. See, again, this is why we do this live, and it's not just me recording some crap on my own, because I would never get this information out. This is great. So we get to here, and we're about to get into one of the hardest rooms to juke. You can kind of start holding up, like when you are. Let me get these guys out of the way. When you are running. to the door, I start to hold up like around... Dang it. I start to hold up around there. Maybe a little bit earlier. Probably like when I see the edge of Ryan's sprite get to about here. But I'm not good at pausing, so there you go. When I get to like there, that's when I start to hold up for like coming into the screen transition. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt. Because you can't just run straight. It doesn't work. You know, so if you run straight and then hold up, it does not work. There has to be an up input somewhere beforehand. And then from here, like again, this is what I mentioned in the Stonehand's first tutorial, is that the optimally, yeah, you will drop and die, and it will be bad. It's exceptionally bad because you haven't bought Stonehands yet, and now it's nearly impossible. You might as well reset. It's more of a zigzag. Like, I am trying to get up to the Men at Work sign, because it's a good band. Get up here, and then down, and then back up. Not too far down, because there's death right here. You know, like, probably spikes and flames and all that shit. But yeah, you are... I typically do a zigzag pattern. So hold up a little bit, and then I get... Oh, man. I canceling my dashes for no good reason. Then up, and then down, and then up. Oh yeah, teleprompter was a must for this. And again... Not a bad name for the room. But it's not like I'm noticing now as I'm doing it that it's not solid. The last up input is not continuous, because if you go like up, down, up, you're gonna run into this pole and other stuff. Boom! Look at that, we're dead. Like up, down, and then like I do like up and then release and then up again. You can probably see that on the input display as well. Up, down, up, up. Like that. Is like you can start holding up, but you don't want to get too far up to run into the pole. And then once you get to the pole where you're kind of overlapping it, then you can hold up and kind of like rub your shoulder on it, and that's okay. Roxy exposition again. Against jocks. Well, that's good. And then you just do a little like quick down up. Like you said, it's only just like the last pixel that you'll hit the pole, pretty much. And again, for this room, I am thinking down and then up to the doorway, because this is another room where you have to leave up. And it's like somewhere around this tree is a good time to start working your way back up. But ooh. But you want to be mindful, and that pattern you're gonna get hit. But you want to be mindful of the gangs that are in front of you, because you're trying to get around them. You're not trying to... There's no pattern that works for every gang on every room. You know, you can't be like, just go down and then up and you will get through this room 100% of the time. Like, it just depends on who's there. You got to make sure you get around them. And then once you're through, then you can focus on... then you can focus on... And in that case, I felt that it was safer to split the two of them. Ow. And I'm hesitating there because I'm trying to change the pattern, essentially. Alright, so for this room, ideally, you're going to get a gang that's not the mob. I would say that this room is going to be the first major reset point of the run. Ideally, like, the perfect pattern here is nothing. If you get a free crate, which is rare, that's great, because A, you're going to get a free crate, and B, you're going to get homeboys in the warehouse, and that's perfect. I don't know if there's a way to manipulate the start of the game to set that up, but if we ever figure that out, that will reduce resets dramatically. But anyway, for me, yeah, me too. For me, I'm looking to grab the crate and take it inside. There is also a crate inside if the outside isn't safe and you're doing a no reset run. But realistically, if you're going for a PB, then you want this crate out front. It's the fastest one to grab. You don't have to backtrack after you get it. Yeah, yeah. Like there's no manipulation that I'm aware of. You know, I was talking to Sareem about it a while back, and it's like maybe you could work on pressing start through all the opening menus on sound cues or something. But if the patterns are changing every frame, that's a lot of frame perfect inputs. And then you should also get a frame perfect run to start the, it just gets really wild from there. So never mind that part. We're just going to stick with the bad luck thing. So come in here. Homeboys is okay. Sometimes they will let you grab the crate and run if there are some of the more docile ones. So yeah, it's not always going to work out like that. The mob is going to kill you most of the time, although these guys would have let me through. But I'm just canceling my dash a little bit before I get to the crate. You got to be careful. Like, you also got to be careful going in the door. If you're going in the door and you're holding the crate and somebody's near you with a weapon, they can... Also, you have to hold up a little bit first. You can't just run. You can't just run. You won't make that. Up a little first. Ow. I'm always running closer to, like, trying to stop at, like, the front end of the crate. And pick it up and run. You know, you're just trying to get in and out and on your way. So, that's literally all I'm trying to do. PJ with the raid, how's it going? Okay, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, Will, if it's the same as that room. PJ, what were you streaming tonight? Thank you so much for the raid. So again, some patterns are really nasty and gnarly. I have not yet come across the pattern that I see most often, which is just a homeboys pattern where they are hovering around the crate and won't let me out. Like, so far, all of them have been really nice. Gotcha. I am sorry to hear that, sir. But thank you again for the raid. Alright. No, he still lets me go. Makes no sense. I don't get this kind of luck ever. Ooh. Okay. So he's going to come back here. He's going to get... If he goes back there, he's going to get the crate first. There's no way... I mean, it is for me, Smitty. There's no way... Oh, and he already has the crate, too. So now you just have to beat him up. Oh, man, that's the worst. He threw the crate away from the door? What a jerk. Alright, so, yeah. So Doug here is going to get the crate before us. Now, if I come try to pick it up, because it fell to the right... I did not want to pick up that coin, by the way. So, that little dash that I just did. I'm going to try to explain some of my movements here, because it's helpful. If I walk up to the crate, there's a chance that he's going to run after me to the crate, and I won't be able to get away from him. But if I wait until he gets closer to my melee range, and then I run over to the crate, he'll probably let me have it. There'll be just enough time for me to get it and get away. And he won't get a punch in. Oh, he let me have it anyway. Oh, that's good to know. The problem you run into is that once they get close, they just want to tear you up with punches. So... Oh, that time he wanted a weapon. That's helpful. Alright, anyway. The next thing is I want homeboy... This is my pattern right here. Homeboys in the warehouse, and they're both on the left side. This is the pattern that I love. Because again, I'm going to run up to the wall. I'm going to cancel my dash so that I'm like right against it. And I'm going to whack them both through there. This is perfect for what I like to have, because I want them to both die at the same time. That increases the likelihood that the next two spawns will be on top of each other. There are a couple of different scenarios here that I can hope for, which we will work on now. So I'm going to jump up onto the boxes to the right, and then jump. I'm going to do a save state in the air. So I want to get the timing of the jumps right. So that was good. Let me see here. Oh, hold on, yeah. There we go. I want to have my health visible so you can see that I'm doing the jumping, running throw to deal 3 bars of damage to myself. And so now that was just killing time. We've effectively killed time waiting for the coins to despawn. Every now and again, if you get the timing just right, you'll actually get 2 gang members on the boxes on the left side. Like, they'll actually show up down here, like right here. And it looks like there's just one of them, but if you ever see it that way and you know both coins appeared at the same time, there's 2 of them there. You just jump down, like drop down and hit them with the crate. They're both going to die, and it's going to be super quick. Hey, stop. So we're over the wall. And we've got 2 gang members in the top left. That's, if you don't see anybody yet, they're in the top left corner, which is fine. They're a little too far away for you to effectively damage them with your running jump, which is unfortunate, because you might get a couple of blockers, which, again, well, we can try to work through. There's like a rhythm to swinging with the crate to effectively get through their blocks, where sometimes it might even like look like they're about to block. Yeah, that pattern is just amazing. I haven't quite figured out exactly where in the jump it is, but it's like somewhere the timing of your jump. You have to be a little faster than I was here to get that spawn, but it works out pretty well. So, stop it. So we're gonna run to the edge of the crate and jump, and I'm holding left, and I'm just like making sure that Ryan moves a little bit forward every time. Frailus, thank you so much for the host. Like, I'm not mashing A, I am specifically like waiting for Ryan to move forward. Yeah, it didn't really work. I jumped too late, or too early. You really do want to get to the edge of the box that you're standing on before you jump. And just like let Ryan move forward a little bit between each swing, and eventually they will yield to you. Like that. That's really the best recommendation I have for this, because too often if you're just mashing A, one of them may just block forever, or like one of them might block the first one and be advancing on you and get a punch in, because the big problem you run into here with the warehouse is lag. Darth, thank you so much for that host. I do appreciate it. The problem with the warehouse is that if you're playing this room, it's so laggy compared to the entire rest of the game. This room in particular. And the game does not hide the fact... yes, the game does not hide the fact that it's reading your inputs when you try to do stuff. And it's most evident here, because what ends up happening is you press A to punch or to swing the crate, and they will react with their own attack, but your attack suffers from the lag of the warehouse and theirs doesn't. So like you press A, it reads it and it counters, but then its attack comes off first. It sucks. It sucks a lot. Okay. So you want to grab these coins. These coins are important. Like, don't just wait for them to despawn. Go and get them. You know, if you get this spawn pattern and you've got the 2 homeboys on the left side of the room, and you knew you weren't going to get their coins, every penny matters here, because we're doing the death warp before buying stone hands, so you're going to lose half of your health. Or, I'm sorry, half of your money intentionally, and you need to get enough through the course of the next couple of minutes to have $26.95 by the time you get to Flatirons Mall after Mojo to be able to buy it. So you need those coins. Even then, there are a couple of different scenarios where you don't have enough, and that happens. There's risk. There's inherent risk to this whole thing. But now, Rocco, let's do it. So I will do it, and then I will try to walk through what's going on. I said I will do it, and then I will walk through what's going on. That's the Rocco kill. That is the fastest way. I mean, I know that a couple of folks have been working on slightly faster ways. I've heard from a few different people. But this is very reliable. This is what I have done since Nissa. That's twitch.tv/NISS3. He is responsible for a lot of the strats in this run. I don't profess to have discovered things so much. Like, I introduced the Death Warp to the world record route. That's about it. Beyond that, Nissa had found out a bunch of smoother ways to get through boss fights without stone hands. This is one of them. So, again, for me, I grab these coins, because, again, this is the most common pattern that I see. And I'm not going to hit down and right just yet, because I feel like I'm going to be too close to Rocco. So, like, what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to walk until I get to, like, here, like, aligned with this door, and then I'm going to hold down and right. Okay, you don't want to go down and right so far that your entire sprite ends up over here, because then you'll run into this wall, and it'll ruin your day. There's enough going on in this fight that's going to try to ruin your day. You don't need that kind of help. But, so you'll see. I guess I could leave that up. So if I jump down here, I was a little slow. So it's probably a little sooner. So maybe a little bit before. Again, a lot of this is feel for me. So trying to break it down into like diagrams and stuff, I knew that was going to be a little bit of a challenge. So maybe a little bit before your sprite gets aligned here. But if you have to grab the coins and they're all the way over here on the left, you don't want to like immediately press down and right, because then you're going to end up like right on top of Rocco, and the crate is going to go over him, and that's bad. Madden mode off. Okay, so we're going to pick up the coins, we're going to walk right a tiny bit, and then jump down. I still threw it over. Check that out. See how freaking tight this is? And then he... ooh, that was no good either. So you throw it, he walks into it, and then you do a dash kick at it. You do another dash kick. And then... I can't even talk you through it. It happens so quickly. Running, thrown, crate, walks into it, dash kick. I gotta be a little faster with the dash kick. Running, thrown, walks into it, dash kick, kick, kick. And then there's a fast way to, if you've done the Death Warp warm-up, or the prerequisite Death Warp prep by hurting yourself with the crate against the middle wall while you're waiting for the coins to despawn, then you are now in range for what we talked about in the earlier tutorial, where like a running thrown crate bounces off the wall and hits you for 3 bars, and then you can kind of walk into it a little bit more and do 2 more bars to cover 5. I'm at 4 right now, but that's because I got hit by some random schmuck on the way in. But if you were at full health and you damage yourself on the center wall, you've got 5 bars of health, and you're in range to just do 1 action and get yourself down to 0 stamina. So again, he goes down. The way that we did it before, you just do that. That's pretty quick, and then you just run into the wall, and you're done. Another way you can do it, if you can line your sprite up correctly with the crate, you can run over to the crate and kick it into yourself. There is an overlap where you kick it and you just hit yourself with it instead, like that. That's faster. So, fluidly. I'll try it again. What's going on, Awkwards? You do that, and then you immediately run into the wall, and before you can die, you get the coin. Because you need Rocco's coin, too. That's another important piece. We don't want to forget about all the important steps to this. You want to come out of the warehouse having grabbed 2 coins from 2 homeboys, and then grab Rocco's coin as well. So I'm at $20 still at this point. Like, I've avoided everybody that I could. I haven't collected a cent. You start with 20 bucks. We still have 20 bucks. I grab these 2, and that's $1.50. Dang it. And then I pick up his coin, it's $3, and then I die and I lose half of my money. And this is why so many people just didn't even try to put a death warp in a speedrun of this game for so long, was because it's like, well, how the hell am I supposed to get back up to $26.95 at any point? And what am I supposed to do with the bosses in between? We'll get there. So again, you dash, throw, he walks into it. I'm not sure about the distancing here for when it doesn't knock him down compared to when it does. Also, if you're fast enough, you can actually beat him with 1 kick when he stands up, but you have to be really quick. So that's the ideal fight, and Death Warp. This is what I would always want to do. But again, you can see as I continually mess up here and there that the timing for this entire fight is pretty tight. That's it. That is it right there. For fun, that is true. Yeah, so there's a distance here. You can be too close to him. Yeah, before we do the for fun part. You can throw it too late and throw it over his head. You don't want to do that. You can also throw it too early, and he doesn't take the second hit. He doesn't walk into it. So there's your range. So the range for this is that, you know, if you ever throw it over his head, which I didn't even do, even though I was trying to. If you throw it over his head and either hit him or yourself, then you gotta throw it sooner. But if you like rear back and like you were too far away from him, so the spacing is pretty particular. You want to find a happy medium there so that he walks into it for the second hit. And then your running kick of the crate has to come not too quickly afterwards. There's like a timing for that where it's too early or too late. Like you can do it so early that it doesn't seem to register as an additional hit worthy of knocking him down. And then you can also do it too late where it is effectively not part of a combo anymore. And then it also won't knock him down. So that was too far away. That was still good. I'm trying to do it wrong, and that's the tricky part. Yeah, that's fine. For fun, before this was figured out, and again, this is not the end all be all. You know, I've mentioned that there are a couple of folks that have found slightly faster fights than this. It's just this is the most consistent one for me. Let me show you the fight that we used to do, just for fun. That used to be the fight. Fraught with peril, that fight was, because you have to do like a jump off the wall and still clear the crate to kick it, because that whole like kicking the crate when you're kind of overlapped with it and hits you instead, that happened all the time. You jump, you get the jump right, you go off the wall, you land like too much over top of it and you kick it, and you think you're going to kick it into him and you kick it into yourself instead. What a mess. But again, that was just for fun. One more time. One more time with the Death Warp part, getting the Death Warp part right. There we go. And then just run left, dash left, and you get the coin right as you die. So again, now we're at 1225. Nowhere near enough money for Stonehand, so we have to have alternative solutions to try to be able to get money. This next room, you still do want to juke down as you're running. There's a follow. Thank you so much for that follow. You still want to juke downwards as you're running, but you don't have a lot of room. But it is possible to juke around frat guys like that. Like, you have enough room for, like, maybe, like, 3 or 4 taps before you jump in that hole. Wow, his punch was done, and I ran into it. There we go. So you can still successfully get around it. I usually go down and then up. Alright, so I do want to save a state before Blade here. Yeah, well, that's fine. That save state works fine because he won't kick me before I get in the room. So Blade's an interesting fight. Because again, I don't have a weapon, I don't have stone hands, I don't have anything. So the strat here is that you're going to run up and kick him. If you do it right, 4 kicks will knock him down. There's a slightly different variant. I'm not really sure if it's probably just a spacing issue, where you have to kick him 5 times to knock him down. It happens, but rarely. Most of the time, it's 4. You kick him 4 times to knock him down, and then while he's down, you walk over so that you can reach both him and the chain from your position, and then you press B. I guess you could press A as well, or you could press A as well. I don't think it really matters. I press B. That's just me. But either button, when you have the option to pick something up, will pick something up. So, fun fact, if that was not already common knowledge. But you want to be in a position where you could pick up either one. And you go to pick him up, you end up picking him up instead. And then he jumps away off of you. You want to be facing left when he does so that he jumps toward the exit. And then you pick up the chain and you dash at him and you start stun locking him with the chain. Like that. And then it's just more stun locks, but you're doing it with the chain instead. And the last round, I will get into more granular detail in a moment. But that is essentially the fight. That's what you're looking for. I said I could get away. For me, I have enough time as he's falling over that I've already walked over to the spot I want to be at. This is the spot I want to be at right here. And I've turned around already so that I don't have to, like, pick him up and then turn, because that window is really tight. You want to be turned around before you pick him up. You do not have to throw him. This is another common misconception. You have to make 0 effort to throw him. His recovery is so high right now because all you've done is kicked him 4 times that he's going to essentially get up right away. So he's, like, shunning the fact that you dare pick him up as though he's somehow, injured at this point. Like, he's ready to go. So he's going to jump out of your hands immediately. And then from there, you just pick up. Like, he jumps away from you, and you pick up the chain right away, and then you... Ooh, that's a nice pause right there. And then you immediately dash at him with the chain. You can tell by his recovery that he's fine. So you want to kind of time your dash and chain strike with his downward arc so that you can stun lock him. Yes. Freeze frame, record scratch. So, this last round, I think it's important to note that there's, like, I'm not going to be able to draw it perfectly because I am not very good at this part. But there are good ranges. And there's, like, a bad range here in the middle. So when you are spacing yourself for the last round, a lot of people mention that when they're trying to use a weapon to kill a boss, you get to like the last round of the fight, and I go and I hit him, and I'll either hit him once and then he starts blocking forever, or I won't even get a chance to hit him at all. He just gets up and blocks. And it's so annoying, and it takes forever, and I don't understand how killing any boss with a chain works. Or like with a weapon in general, because they seem to get to this very last round of the fight, and then they will just block perpetually, and there's nothing I can do about it. So for me, it's all about spacing and where your positioning is, because the chain has such a good range that it kind of lulls you into this false sense of security that you can be kind of far away from the boss and still get him and everything's fine. When I am going for the last round of Stone Hands, like, I want my sprite to be like right here. I want to be like right on top of him. Like, I want my feet to be touching his feet, that sort of thing. And if you are at a comfy distance, then he'll block. Right there, I actually got too close to him. And now I doubt that my drawings are going to line up perfectly. But we'll see. They might, if this fight goes the same way every time and I don't let him move. That's pretty good. It's still pretty close. But and then this ends up being twofold. That, like, the positioning is only one half of it. The other half of it is you have to be able to mash okay. And that's really the best that I can do, is okay. I can't really do much better than okay, frankly. I'm not a very good masher. But if I get that overlap, where, like, you see where my feet are, like, this is exactly where I wanted to be. So, yay for my drawing abilities from a couple minutes ago. Like, my front foot is in that good spot where when my momentum died, I was, like, at his feet. And my mashing is just good enough that the first two strikes seem to come out like 1-2, like, pretty quick. That I'm able to kind of get around that, like, auto blocking feature that bosses seem to have. You can also do this, and I will try to do this now. You can also do this from, like, the furthest possible distance. So now we'll get to see how good or bad my drawing is for the farther distance, which I have trouble lining up, to be perfectly honest. Well, you gotta actually dash. Yells, come on. That's not good. Yeah, if you kick late, the chain goes flying to the left, and then the whole thing doesn't work. So now you want to be... And that was too far away. Oh, okay, so that's actually... Like, so this black line needs to be a bit thinner, because the green line has to be, like, because I need to be a bit closer to him. Because this is the risk that you run into if you try to hit him from, like, the max distance, is that you essentially want to be hitting him from, like, the third most distance, because you've got to hit him 3 times in succession. So when you stop moving, you have to be close enough that the third chain strike after he takes knockbacks is still going to land. And in this case, that is not what happened. The third one didn't land, so it wasn't a combo. That could be it too. It's also a valid point, Will. Yeah, so that was more on the inside. My reflex is to be closer to him. Nah, that's too far away. I'm way too far away. So this is how bad I am at judging this particular fight, because I'm much more in favor of being up close. So that was okay. Yeah, that just barely reached with better mashing. It's okay. So you get the feel for how this fight is supposed to go. Hopefully that's helpful to kind of clarify what I'm shooting for here. So yeah. Onward we go, right? So Additional thing. Oh, that's too early. You know what? That does feel like a preference thing, but let's try it. Oh, no, kicks. Because you do this stupid uppercut thing, you can't actually get him down with punches. That's what it is. Kicks are all the same, but for whatever reason, when you're trying to, like, finish a combo with punches, you go into this silly uppercut. You start throwing hooks, and they're too slow. But kicks don't do that. Like, or rather, your kick does change, but it's still fast. Little extra feature here. There is a time save here that I don't currently go for. But it requires you to kind of hit him right as he lands. He can kind of enter this little, like, this state where he immediately hops up after the first 3 chain shots. Like that. But then you have to be faster than that. I don't know if this is frame perfect or not. It sure feels like it sometimes, although I feel like I get it too often for it to be frame perfect, but I could be dumb enough that I could just kind of stumble upon it. But then, like, that you have to be ready. Like, you have to be anticipating that he's gonna hop back up to his feet so that you can get the second round in faster. It probably saves about a second because there's one less recovery, essentially. Like that. And here's that magical, that wonderful magical. If you get into this and you're not good at mashing, like I'm not, oh man. Every time I'm about to explain stuff, he just snaps out of it and stops blocking. But if you get stuck in a blocking pattern where somebody's blocking, my recommendation is to slowly tap down as you're mashing. Like that. Like, so if you can't get anything started here, if you work your way down, you can regain your advantage. Because as he moves down to try to mirror your movement, he'll stop blocking again. Hopefully that's helpful. Is it? So, that's interesting. I don't think I ever really paid attention to my Z-axis. Do you find that there's difficulty there? Like, I guess I am... Again, hitboxes scale by being too low. Interesting. Now again, this is like habitual because I've spent so much time doing this that I end up getting myself lined up with Blade pretty well. So I always try to be like on the same pixel roughly, or close to, that he's on. But that's a fair point. So I'm not necessarily sure that I can do much to illustrate that difference, but it's worthy of note. If you're too low, you might pick up the chain first. Also, well, another thing, another different potential reason for that. If you go to pick up oh wow, he still got up. I still got him. I was gonna say, I guess there's probably a chance that if you go to pick it up too fast, like if you try to pick before he hits the ground, that could happen. Like, you could end up like that or something, maybe. And you'll notice that I'm also backing up between each round. Again, that's because I always want to do a dashing, like a running strike with the blade, with the chain, instead of a standing strike, because a standing strike does less damage. You want to do running strikes. So I am perpetually backing up a little bit to regain spacing. I'll just get this clean one more time and then we'll move on. I think I've shown all I wanted to show with the blade fight. There we go. So now, when he dies, what I end up doing is I turn around to get the spacing again. But for me, I'm actually setting up to leave. So his text is going to show up at the bottom of the screen. And if I've got the spacing right, if I start running, as soon as the text starts to wipe away, then I'll pick up the coin pretty much right as it's... like that. That's what I'm aiming for. Small optimization, but, you know, worthy of mention. Like, I take one step away, and as soon as the text starts to wipe, I run, and I'm running over his dead body, right as he turns into a coin. So now is the hardest part of the run, in my opinion, is, again, we've killed one boss, we got like 250 for that. Yeah, this is a Monka-esque freeze frame right here for sure. Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what like the trickiest part of the run, the speed run right now, is getting to Turk without losing your chain or dying or both. Ideally, you want to be able to get there without taking any damage, but like I said, it's like 10 screens from here to the warehouse, and then it's another 3 to get to Turk's room. And then you have to clear the trash in Turk's room and kill Turk, clear the trash in Mojo's room and kill Mojo with the chain. And it's not easy. It isn't. I don't profess that it is. So we're going to get the heck out of here. Again, so we're going to... Oh. Didn't let me pass. They don't sometimes. You know, the juking is... That juke, for some reason, feels harder that second time than it did the first time. I don't know why. It's pretty much the same patterns that you're going to get. Like, these patterns here, I don't think there's anything new or different or special about them. So this pattern here, these guys want to punch you in melee range, so you want to give them as wide of a berth as you can. This pattern in particular, I can get up to the top wall and just hug it, and then as soon as I'm past the second guy, I can start juking down. Like, all I can say is that over time, you'll start to recognize certain patterns, and there will be, like, a specific path that lets you through. But I can't sit here and reload 20 times until we get all the good ones, essentially. So some of them definitely won't let you through, and that's a problem. So from there, it's either you can jump on the wall, and then you could get enough momentum to do a big jump, and you could end up on top of the warehouse, and then drop down and go in the front door. Or you can try to fight them with your chain, because you do have a weapon with good reach, but again, good luck. But really, the goal here is to try to avoid everybody and everything. So, I'm going to try to do a thing here to try to illustrate something worthy of note. I'm not good at this, because essentially what I end up doing is I run to here. There's a very narrow window here to jump up onto this box. You don't have much room before you jump back off of it. It's kind of tricky. I would say that, like, even if you're doing world record routes, it's probably not going to cost you that much more time to run past and do running jumps like that. But there is a faster way. Let's see if I can get this. This is so tricky. I've seen Nissa do it, and I've only done it like a handful of times. Oops. It's so tight. But it is possible to do like a little running jump without leaving. Without leaving. It's so hard to do. This is why I've never tried to implement it. Because then most of the time you just like fall off of there. But I'm just trying to show everything that I'm aware of. What pixel do I need to be on to not go through the door? I see the pixel now. It's just so hard to like move up and not hit it by mistake. But yeah, I can't even do it to illustrate it, but it is possible to jump up there. Yeah, I can't even do it. That's how hard this is. But I've seen him do it where you can do a small run and move up and jump and essentially end up like I can't even like force myself into a position like here. And then you go there and jump up. It's wild. Maybe Nisa can show it to us all someday. But essentially, what I end up doing is I run to here, jump up there and up there and up there. And if there's nobody down here in the bottom left, you can drop down and you can immediately start a dash. You can start a dash from here and hold down and you won't run into the box. And this is faster, but you have to watch out for a whole bunch of stuff. You don't want to run into any walls. Again, you can also just as easily, if there's nobody here, you can run left and then run right and then run left. You can technically do that dash here with homeboys here, but it's very risky. Because again, they only care about melee range. Anybody else down there won't work. And you can see the lag. So it just takes some getting used to. The most common route is that. Like you do a running jump off the box, and then once you're off the box, you can just hold down and left to hop down and you'll be in the door frame. So from here, you have like the 3 worst rooms in the entire run, which are these next 3. Because you want to be able to get out of there. You want to not be hit from behind by a weapon here. And you want to not be hit from behind by a weapon here. You can hold down in all these cases to try to buy yourself a little bit of room. There's no guarantee that that's going to work. Like, but I remember from like listening to, yeah, sometimes you walk down right into stuff. And you don't, and that one I juke poorly, just holding down instead of tapping down. Because if you hold down, you eventually run out of real estate. And it's bad. That's a good point. You could probably get to a zone out, but depending on the pattern, you might get a pattern like that. So if you're willing to risk it, you can. Like you could potentially save a fraction of a second because the zone's uneven. You get into the next room faster that way. So Will does make a good point about small optimizations, but at a risk. To go up to get to this room. So what he's talking about specifically. You're not going to let me have my pipe back, or my chain back, are you? Nope. Yeah. He's specifically talking about this. Look at that green menu. I love that. It's good. He's talking about the line where the... hey. It's supposed to be drawing, not grabbing. This line right here, the amount of room you have to cover to get to the line is shorter that way than it would be if you run down. But running down is safer, I would say. I think there are fewer patterns that are going to destroy your run if you go down than if you go up. But you can go up and save a little bit of time. Also, don't hold, like, if it feels like there's lots of room under the overpass, If you hold up, you'll go into the mystery shop. So don't hold up. You don't want to go into the mystery shop. I don't have money for any of this crap. Also, I'm dying. Because they'll still be waiting here. It's not a safe spot at all. If there were gang members there, they're still going to be there. So again, my preference is down, down, down. And then from here, it really is just... I want to illustrate, so I'm glad that I got the homeboys here. I want to illustrate where the money route does suffer. So I've gotten 4 homeboys here. And now we have Turk. I mean, like, you know, there's a limit to how much we can go over. I will go over some, but let me kill Turk first. You can do a safe 5-rounder here, where you do dashing chain strikes for 3 rounds, then you go behind him for 4 and 5. And again, that same spacing issue with Blade occurs here too on the last round. He will start blocking if your spacing isn't very good. Let me reset this. I will say, gang members that aren't the homeboys, like the mob here, they do love a weapon. So the same thing, you can camp out by the weapon. So if I grab these coins, like those guys were walking straight at the weapon. They really wanted it badly. Nice. But also, I just moved up. It's very dangerous to move up right here, because that same premise that Will mentioned about exiting the zone applies right here. It's not... You exiting the zone is not where you think it is. It's not the darkness right there. Like, I zoned out well before it. See, how close do I have to get? Yeah, like, nowhere near. It's more like here. It's more like the end of this stripe, if you think about it on that plane. Like, that's where you leave the zone. So if, for some reason, somebody gets behind you, and you kill them, be careful just running over to pick up their coin. You might leave the room and have to redo the entire room. Also, there's a maximum of 3 weapons per screen. The chain is preferred because of reach. The chain does less damage than the steel pipe. I think it does more damage than the brass knuckles and more damage than the wooden stick. Because there's 2 different kinds of sticks, essentially, that have the same sprite but different colors. So there is a wooden stick and there is a metal pipe, or a steel pipe, or whatever you want to call it. The pipe does more damage than the chain, but the reach on the chain is superior, and that's why we use it. Also, there's a fixed location that you can always get the chain, which is from Blade. So, like, right after the death warp, you are unarmed, so it's nice that he's the first person there to give you something. So, it's hard to disagree with you on that, Will. It's a really good sound. Hopefully Vinny will cooperate and walk down towards us. And I can just kind of camp out and swing by the brass knuckle there. There is a 4-round Turk fight that you can do, which I will try to illustrate here. It involves hitting him 4 times in the first round, so you hit him twice, and then you hesitate, and then hit him 2 more times. If you just run in and swing, 3 hits will knock him down. But you don't want to knock him down in 3 hits. You want to knock him down in 4, because that little extra bit of damage will make the fight 1 round shorter. Let me get rid of these lines. So, for me, like, my rhythm to it, I'm not really good at just, like, sitting there and doing nothing in the interim. So I like to do dash, chain, chain, dash, chain, chain. So it's like it's 2 of the same movements in a row. And that was terrible. And these guys are just walking up to the weapon. That's great. Oh, that's a good point. Let's see. Let me save this as slot 2. Hey. Yeah, we'll save the state before this room as slot 2 so that we can come back and demonstrate the homeboys issue. Excellent point. Okay. So that's what I want. So that's 2 rounds, and then I come across him for round 3. And even if whether he blocks or not, a 4-round Turk leaves him right in front of the door, which is perfect. So, dash, chain, chain. Mess that up. It's pretty tight, so. Hold on, I have to fix this. And so the tightness here is right here, because I've only done 2 rounds of chain strikes. Even with that 4th chain, it makes the fight 4 rounds, but after his 2nd knockdown, he's not in willpower yet. So if I take too long, oh wait, it was in willpower. I'm not used to him being in willpower. Maybe it's only if you don't get the 2nd dash here. Maybe I do have time. Yeah, I do have time. Cool. Okay. Whereas by contrast, let me try to do it the other way. The timing is really wonky on this. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the 3rd one was not a running chain. There. Okay. So there's the difference. You can do this 2 different ways, and that's still going to be a 4-round fight. But if you don't do the dashing chain as the 3rd hit, then he's not in willpower yet. So it makes the 3rd round harder to do. Or if I do 2 dashes in the 1st round, then I actually have time to line up the 3rd one there. And there, a clean 4-round fight, and the coin's going to spawn like right here. And I can just leave. I can just hold up. As soon as I hear the ching, then I hold up and move on. Alright, so. Should I talk about the homeboys thing now? Or, yeah, I think now's a good time. Now's a good time. Okay, so. Apart from the fact that they are, like, docile as heck, and they're just walking slowly, and it seems great until you let them get too close, and then it's not great anymore. I'm just going to do the safe 5-round fight here, because I'm less interested in doing the fast fight and more interested in illustrating the difference in money. So. Oh, hey, Sideswipe. I prefer Stone Hands over Dragon Feet in the record route for a couple of reasons. The first one is just personal preference, because I can see I have a better idea of where the hitbox is going to be relative to my sprite. I feel like the Stone Hands punches are like kind of out in front, whereas the Dragon Feet is more like overlapping your own sprite. So because he's got like stubby legs, so it just doesn't seem like it reaches as far. The damage is all the same, but it's just more of a matter of preference for spacing. Like whatever anybody feels like doing is fine. For the big jump that you can do in the factory, it makes that jump a little bit easier if you do a jump kick, because that extends your sprite width, whereas you can't do a jump kick with Dragon Feet. You just do your Dragon Feet kick, and it doesn't change like your sprite size or anything. If you're doing Stone Hands first, doing a safer route, and buying the Lamb Leg and Flatiron's Maul, the Lamb Leg increases your punch power. So for that route, we've determined tonight that makes a difference. It makes every boss fight slightly shorter, eating the Lamb Leg, because you get the extra punch capacity, and it just makes the quality of life a bit better. You're just doing more damage. So what I got here, so save state 1, I've got 2125 because I had the homeboys. Save that. And we'll load this one here. And now I had the mob instead on this one. And now I'm at 2185. Which, again, you might be thinking, well, that's 60 cents. What's the big deal? But remember how tightly we're managing our money in this. So, having gotten the mob as one of the spawns here... Actually, I think to illustrate this best, I want to get homeboys. Because despite the fact that they're not showing up, it does happen. Pretty often, actually. But I would say it's mostly... There we go. It's mostly mob, squids, or homeboys here. If I got the mob on the screen before, and now I've got homeboys, and then I kill Mojo, and we'll get into the specifics of Mojo shortly. Can occasionally run killing generic dudes. Because I had the mob on the previous screen, I now have 27.35, which is 40 cents more than I need to buy stone hands. Now let's say I got homeboys on this screen, and then I get homeboys on the next screen. I kill them, and then I kill Mojo. And now, drum roll, I have 26.75, which is 20 cents short of stone hands. Runs die right here. Sorry, not enough money. Come back with more money. So there is the unintentional run killer if you get all homeboys patterns. But then again, that you have to qualify that by saying all homeboys patterns if you only picked up 2 of their coins in the warehouse. So like the money that you picked up is 2 homeboys and Rocco, and then the Death Warp, and then you got Blade, 4 homeboys and Turk, 4 homeboys and Mojo. You're 20 cents short. It's the 10 homeboys paradox. So you need to make sure that one of the patterns that you get is higher paying than homeboys. And this applies on a grander scale to basically anything. Like, there are balances and counterbalances to all of this, where if you like, you could show up here and you know, as Will alluded to, you occasionally get generic dudes. You can get generic dudes here. It's rare, but you can, and they drop 50 cents a piece. And like, we're complaining about the homeboys, and they drop, I think it's like 75 cents a piece. So that's bad. Like, you're in real bad shape at that point. Whereas by contrast, you could also get the internationals could be in here, which, first of all, they're a pain in the ass to kill without stone hands, but they all drop $1.10 a piece, so you're gonna be fine. The gangs that are safe and common are the mob, which I believe is like 90 cents a piece, and squids, which is a flat $1 a piece. So, the Mojo fight. For the Mojo fight, I mean, I don't know how much I can really go over about like fighting gangs in this room. Watch out for the pipes. Occasionally, like, if you get squids, they like to run in and hit you once, and then they'll like backpedal back into the pipes here, and it's a pain in the ass. If they do that, you could try hopping onto the pipe so that they stop blocking, and then you could like run off and turn and swing and try to get them to die that way. But the pipes are a big pain in the butt. If somebody is all the way up against the back wall and you kill them, their sprite jumps up and dies on the wall, and your coin is up here and you gotta go up and get it. It's a pain in the butt. It's not a great room. You're hoping for... Really, I prefer a mob spawn in here because they don't typically like cut and run away from you. So they're gonna stay in your face. Yeah, I quit and play Super Tennis instead, of course. So yeah, now for the Mojo fight. My spacing strats are perhaps inappropriately referred to as the pole dance. You see that pole right there? It's going to help me determine my spacing. Well, first I need to get my first hit on him cleanly. see, good mob spawn. Okay, so I run up, hit him, get to the edge of the pole and turn. Get to the edge of the pole and turn. It's a little slow. The edge of the pole and turn. Edge of the pole and turn. But realistically, I want to be the back of my sprite. I want the back of my sprite to be on the other side of the pole. So I want to go from here to here, like back and forth, back and forth. And it's loose. There's a couple frame window. That's comfy. Like you can be overlapping it slightly. But I find that the edge of the pole is a good indicator of your reach, because you can have your sprite lined up with the edge of the pole like this, and your chain still reaches any sprite that's up against the wall. So that's my preference there. Whoa. Yep. Pole dance. That's the strat. And then if you know you have enough money, the moment you hit him with the last chain shot, you throw the chain away because you don't need it anymore. And then you come right up here to this shop and you buy stone hands. Or dragon feet, whichever you prefer. And I usually start running before I go into the menu. So that when I'm reading, like, you know, I go through all this menuing here, and then all I have to do from here is press start. And I continue running. Don't have enough money for the lamb leg, but we'll wave hi to the steak shop. Okay. Don't throw the chain to the right, no. Not unless you want to take that hit. Because it will bounce off the wall and smack you. But yeah. So now we're just into... We've got stone hands. Money is no longer a problem. We've done it. And the back half of the run here is going to feel a lot like the back half of the other run, except we don't have the lamb leg, so everything's going to take the right amount of hits in my head now. So again, I like to do light downward jukes here. This pattern, or rather this room, if you get squids, I always want to run and then punch as I get even with the door. Because squids, they're going to jump you the moment you try to slow down. Like, they're hanging out just off screen, and they're going to come at you with a weapon of some kind. And the timing is not always going to work. Internationals, I feel comfy just, like, running up and walking up to the door. But if I get squids, I actually was lucky that one of them hit the other one. And that squid's pattern actually worked out okay. This one, though, I had to press A to block that kick. So... But more often than not. Yes, indeed. Oh, it looks like mob might be the same case, although you don't really see the mob here that much. How's it going, Uno Squid? Yeah, mob is the same thing. And that right there is an example of how you can die and lose a run. If you get to this point and you don't have any health left, I blocked. I didn't actually get hit, but I blocked, but I got blocked into the wall and fell over. If I had no health here, I would have died. Even though I blocked both of their attacks. But this room is deceptively tricky. Like, you want to punch when you get even with, like, here. So, alright. Alright. Internationals, you should just be able to do whatever. And by and large, they shouldn't be able to make contact with you. Factory jump time. Thank you for that follow. I do appreciate it. So for the factory jump, there are a couple of patterns that don't work. I feel like this one might. It just depends on if I can juke past this guy. If you get 2 internationals, like 1, 2... you have 0 chance of making the factory jump. You don't even bother trying. It's just not going to happen. Any other pattern, there's at least half a chance that if you can just, like, get your... Yeah, so that did not work out. Oh, he's trying to run away. And didn't work. Yeah, 1 international was okay to get to the line there. Anything on the right side is okay. And then I always do a jump kick there, which again, you can't do that jump kick without, or you can't do that jump kick if you have dragon feet. You'll just do your triple kick instead. This one is still okay, technically. He hit me, but he hit me early enough that I still had enough room. Like, as we illustrated before, you could be, like, here. Pretty much, Clay. I mean, the one difference we're going to have is that without the lamb leg, we are going to have one extra round for each boss fight. I'm just going to try to be more aggressive with what I'm going over, essentially, from here. But yeah, there isn't that much more to go over for the most part. There might be a couple of small spacing things I'll go over from here. But this is basically a rehash. We are slightly less equipped now than we were with the Stonehand's first run because we don't have the lamb leg. But that's about it. Yeah, getting hit there is fine. Nice. I want to see the internationals pattern if I can, but I think I'm just reloading on a squid's frame. Let me do that. This one might still be okay. Yeah, that's still fine. Homeboys. Nice. And squids. Just want to see the bad pattern. Just want to see it. Internationals on the right side is fine. That one, probably not going to get through. This one should be okay. I always do that. When they throw a weapon, I always jump early. I've noticed. And that might not actually be me jumping early per se. That might actually be the lag. I don't know. If it was the lag, I would jump late. I take that back. I take it back. And it's just me panicking because I don't want to get hit. But yeah, if somebody hits you early... Wow. Look at this pattern. Amazing. Wild stuff. Yeah, I think it just throws my timing off slightly. Alright, well, I'm not going to sit here forever trying to reload that screen to get a pattern that doesn't want to show up, and I'm not actually doing a run. So let's go into Thor's room. So for me, I'm always holding up on the screen transition, because ideally I want to get up to the point where I'm smacking my head here. This is probably too far up. I probably don't even have to be so far up that I'm not going up anymore. But it's just a matter of personal preference. Like, I hold up until I get to there, and then I'm dashing and then jumping, not just kicking. So I get to here, and then I'm going to dash. And then I'm basically going to tap right and then tap down and right so that I start running. So I get my dash input, but then I'm also moving down toward Thor. I just want to get close enough. Because you have to do a double tap right to get the run. And so I just want to make sure that I'm headed down his way. Like, I don't want to lollygag anywhere because I'm trying to be really aggressive. So, you know, the most lollygagging I'll do is I might lose a couple tenths of a second making sure that I've moved up enough that I'm hitting the door frame. That's about it. So for me, you don't need this coin because you're not going to buy anything else in the run. So you just want to get out of dodge as quickly as possible. So for me, I count flashes. So Thor's going to start flashing. Because I'm not always here at the same point in time in the song, I don't really have a musical cue. But I'm watching his flashes, and when he flashes his 8th time, I leave. Oh, he's not dead yet. How did I manage that? Yes, running punches do more than standing punches do. Yeah. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, well that... we might be good, because you don't actually have to hear the coin or see the coin for the coin to have happened. Like, I'm kind of curious, but that might have been a little too quick. To be safe, we'll just do it again. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There you go. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, I don't have the data on it, but I've found that I've been able to kill relatively strong gang members with just the third punch of a Stonehand's attack. So it feels like all 3 punches seem to do more, but I could be wrong. So again, up to here, drop down here, right and then down and right. We're gonna do 5 rounds, ideally. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then go. And then he turns into a coin right as you're leaving. You know, no, it's fine. Like, because I don't have the data in front of me, I don't want to make it sound like I know it all. You know, like, I am using this based largely on experience and not on actual data. So, if I had the data, I'd be interested to see if the Stonehand's punches have varying values. So, Magus, thank you for the 69 bits. Rudia, no! Hashtag Cecil pushed Yang. Oops. So. Oh, I did it again. I'm in the pause menu. You don't want to try to save a state in the pause menu. There we go. So again, so for this room, if I get internationals, the juking pattern is typically like up slightly, then down, and then up again. I think the up is, or the down in between is kind of short because we want to try to bait out the, we want to bait out a weapon attack from one of the internationals over here. And which he didn't go for. Alright, well that one was nice and safe. But okay, well that time we didn't bait it out, but he ran so far forward and hit left. He didn't go for it. I must have waited too long. I can also try to bait out attacks there too. It's really risky. This is the worst room in the entire game, right here. Like, I mentioned that those other 3 rooms were like the worst 3 rooms. But when you're just trying to finish a damn run, like, this is the worst spot to be in because it's so easy to get hurt here. Particularly if you're here on decent health. Just getting out of here is such a chore sometimes. Wow, you see that little hop kick? Look at that. That was crazy. So again, that's my preference for pattern. My preference for a pattern here is internationals with the tire. I think technically there are more aggressive gangs that could be faster, but you can also get an ideal international spawn too, where they're on top of each other. Like the 2 of them come out together, and then the other 2 run up to you as a pair. But that's so fast. Like, it's just super good. And again, I am going to run up and punch. This should be 7 rounds. The spacing for this fight is kind of tricky for me personally. I found that as I was practicing for ESA, I got a lot of 8-round fights because I was giving him too much space. But he's gonna get up pretty quick. So, like, I only need to take like a tiny step back. But he desperately wants that tire that he's named Headbutt. But you should be able to get 4 rounds, and then he'll go into 3 rounds of willpower. And then 7 is it. Alright. Into the high school. Guy just didn't want to die. Point here. I threw that guy to the left, which seems like a bad idea, but if I can get this guy to die cleanly, because the coin is only out for 6 seconds before it despawns, oh, I'm not going to get him cleanly. I ran into a bunch of weapons. That's no good. But it's something to consider. Like, you need to grab coins. Jeez, what kind of patterns are these? Yeah, like, I'm too close to the end of the hallway here that I'll reach where Otis is before the coin despawns. But if I kill a fourth gang member, or like a third or fourth gang member... This pattern is just awful. I'm gonna wait a little bit and grab a different one. This one isn't really much better. There's internationals with no weapons. This kills runs, by the way. Internationals love to block if they don't have a weapon to draw their attention. So they're a really bad gang to get if there's no weapons on the screen. Like, you could spend ages trying to, like, line these guys up. I'm gonna throw this guy, and he's got Bort's gonna die over there, and I'm just gonna take off. Oh, I was a little early. You can time it though. Anybody want the weapon? Oh, you already have one. Always try to remember that there's a maximum of 3 weapons on screen at a time. Or in a room at a time, rather. Alright, Otis. Otis will take 7 rounds if you do it cleanly. And again, I'm just getting spacing. This is definitely a feel thing for me. And so now he's been down for 6. Because I anticipate that it's going to take 7 rounds, and I know I have to get a good amount of spacing for the gymnasium jump, I just go for it. Like, this is YOLO time. So, 7, and then I just go. I just assume that he's dead, and off we go. Like, no time to muck about waiting to see if he's dead. If he isn't dead, then I turn around and go, like, I'll know before I jump. So, as long as your reflexes are good, you'd be like, oh, shoot, he's not dead, and then you run back and hit him again. But yeah, 7 rounds. Careful not to punch the door, because you will fall over. And then you just go. You just get up out of there. So again, I did a big jump. I'll illustrate this one more time. I'll do the save state as I kill Otis this time to illustrate the jump more than anything else. So, Otis is dead, and I'm standing right here. This is enough room. I'm going to double tap left and hold up, and then when I get to, like, here, I'm going to jump. Like, you see the five black boxes here for the grate. I'm going to get to the front of my sprite's going to be at the middle, and I'm going to jump. Roughly. So now I've landed on the second set of bleachers, and my momentum is stored, so at this point, if I can time my dash input and my jump input correctly, I will propel myself up to the top. Now, in that case, I pressed jump too early, and that's okay. I'm still good. I did it early again. I'm still good. My momentum is still stored. I can get 4th try. But what you want to look out for is if you do, well, certainly if you do that, but if you jump too late after you start dashing, you do that low arcing jump, your momentum is now gone, and you need to go up the hoop. So you run over here, tap up to hit your head, and then jump, and then jump, and then go. But this is such a huge time save. Maybe not if you get a 3rd try, but... But if you get a 1st try, it's such a huge time save to just be able to do that. The TAS does something slightly different. Yeah, the TAS lands on that hoop. Which, the TAS, when they wrote the TAS, they didn't know about the momentum storage thing. So this is technically slower than the TAS. But you can do that. I believe the window is 2 frames to land on the hoop and stop. I have 1 PB that has it in it. If you go into my obsolete runs and find my 701, I was 10 seconds ahead and I just went for it for no good reason and I nailed it. It's so hard to do. Anyway, it's hard to do, but we don't have to do it anymore. Because we just do this. And that. And then we're done. Run here and stop and go up. Run, go up. Top floor. Like, as far as gang fights go, the most I can say is like you wanna hope that there's a weapon on screen somewhere, because all of these gangs late in the game, they all love weapons. The internationals are probably the easiest ones to deal with when there's one weapon on screen, because they just walk right over to it. It's just like outside with the tire. It's the same deal. The other ones like weapons, but sometimes you just have to give them room to go and get it, and you have to be ready to like jump all over it. Like, you wait for him to you kind of bait him into going for it. Let's try to get a different pattern. And you just have to be careful not to die. That's pretty much it. And just, you know, if you want to get a really good time, you got to be willing to just, like, run in there and take him out. And just practice. Just practice. And there's 3 weapons now, so the last one can't have one, because there's only 3 to a screen. That's pretty much it. If you're on good pace, you're likely nervous right now, and you're bound to make little mistakes that kill the run, because you are so underpowered here. The only thing you got going for you is stone hands. You are weak. You are what they refer to as a glass cannon. Who's they? I am. But it's true. And just be careful with your spacing. Like, I worked my way around that pipe so that I didn't accidentally pick it up. Because I don't want to pick up a weapon. My fist is my best weapon. Yeah, you don't want to do that. 3 weapons on screen, so he can't have one. Okay. Yeah, twins, again, you know, if you want to save time, sometimes they just don't come out of the door at the start. But most of the time they do. We'll see if they do this time. I don't think they did for the other run. Yeah, they did. Cool. And again, it's 7 rounds together. And then the 8th round apart. I didn't get enough punches in. Oh, and I grabbed the coin. Fail. Ooh. It's gonna be difficult to split them up. Unless one of them dies sooner. Cool. So that's what you're going for. You want to kill one, and then kill the other one. You want to separate them right at the very end, so that you don't get the dialogue. If one of them has already turned into a coin, and you haven't collected that coin, then you won't get any dialogue at all. You'll just be able to leave. The door unlocks immediately. So again, what I'm shooting for, and I've tried to illustrate this on the other run, is that I want my torso and feet to be over top of the first twin. Because I know when your sprites are overlapping, I know I'm going to hit him. And I also know that with my punch sprite reaching out in front of me, I'm going to hit the second twin as well. Like, that's really where I'm aiming for my momentum to stop. I want my momentum to stop when we're overlapped. You have a little bit of leeway on either side, and that's fine. But that's what I'm hoping to get each time. Just like that. You have to be careful with that last dash punch, because you don't want to dash punch the wall. You'll fall over. That's what I refer to as a 7.5 rounder right there. That's ideal. I ended up getting that in my PB, which is kind of cool. Technically, if you are perfect with landing all of your punches, you'll kill them both in 7 rounds and you won't get the dialogue skip, but it's rare. Like, you have to be super duper accurate, and your timing has to be so precise to kill them both in 7 rounds. You could potentially lean into that. Oh, you can do this too, which you can still technically survive, although I paused instead of doing anything. But if you punch late... Let me try to do that again on purpose. Nope, not that late. I don't even know how wide this window is, but I've done this enough times. There we go. I'm still just trying to line my feet up with his feet, and I'll still hit them both. It still works. Everything's still fine. Well, getting a little remix now. I reloaded too many times. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so perfect fight. You'll actually kill them both in 7 rounds and you won't get the dialogue skip, but it's super rare. So I don't lean into it. Like, if I actually thought I could get the first 6 rounds perfect, I would count to 6 and then split them up on 7. But if you intentionally do that and they're not dead on 7, it's slower than doing 7 and then splitting on 8. So it's up to you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. Wow, I can't believe I was so early on that one. I mean, I can. It's a hard fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 7.5. So, but again, it works just as well. You just need to not pick up the one coin before you kill the other one. And I just do a little bit of extra spacing there. Like, it might be difficult to see, but I can, like, feel myself holding left longer, I guess. 4, 5, 6, 7. It's actually a good point. This is a good lineup, I think. I think that before the 7th round of punches, if you get your sprite to this part of the door right here, I think that gives you a good amount of spacing to be able to easily do a dash punch and only get the first twin. Although it just takes practice to get used to. I mean, again, obviously, all of this is just going to take practice. So that time I split them after 6. And again, like, it probably didn't feel very much longer. We're probably only talking a couple of tenths, but I just find it so unlikely that I'm going to get a clean 7-rounder. And then you just walk through the door right away. So, last boss, Simon. You can kill him in 9 rounds, but it's very tight. I do believe you have to land all 27 punches to kill him in 9 rounds. And his recovery is pretty tight. So, like, it doesn't happen very often. More often than not, I get 10. Did I save a state? I don't know if I even did. Hold on. I don't even remember. I feel like I didn't. It's fine, though. So, like, I really want to be hearing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And now, he should be in recovery. There we go. I believe that was 9. But it's so easy to just go a little bit early and not get all the punches. Cool. And then we do a happy dance to celebrate, as it's gone 3 hours, which is a very long tutorial. But that's why we do this once, and you can skim through to your heart's content. Like, at least we did kind of move fluidly through the run. So if we get to a room, you should be able to, like, look at that room and focus on it a little bit. But I think that's all the information I've got.